I'm in a groove state of mind. I'm moving all the time. No excuses and no blame. I'm stepping up my game. I'm a groove school, yes I am. With groove I know I can. Read my master plan. I'm grooving, yes I am. I'm grooving. Oh, I'm grooving. I'm grooving, yes I am. I'm grooving. I'm moving, yes I am. I'm moving. I'm moving, yes I am. I'm moving. I'm moving, yes I am. Groove Nation inspires me to bust loose and break free. I'm dancing to my dreams, bursting at the seams. I'm feeling groove-alicious. Who knows who I am? 'Cause now is my time to have a groove state of mind. I'm grooving. Oh, I'm grooving. I'm grooving, yes I am. I'm grooving. Oh, I'm grooving. I'm grooving, yes I am. I'm grooving. I'm grooving, yes I am. I'm grooving. I'm grooving. I'm grooving, yes I am. Time to let it go. Rise up and be bold. There's magic in the air. I feel it everywhere. I've got my groove on. Who knows who I am? 'Cause now is the time to have a groove state of mind. I'm grooving. I'm grooving. I'm grooving, yes I am. I'm grooving. I'm grooving. I'm grooving, yes I am. I'm grooving. I'm grooving. I'm grooving, yes I am. I'm grooving. I'm grooving, yes I am. Time to bust the move. Dance to your own beat. The groove way of life is oh so sweet. Groove has got my back. Groove is there for me. There's magic in my mind. I'm grooving all the time. Groove, 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 groove. I'm grooving. 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 I'm grooving. I'm grooving. I'm grooving, yes I am. I'm grooving. I'm grooving. I'm grooving, yes I am. I'm grooving. I'm grooving. I'm grooving, yes I am. I'm grooving. I'm grooving, yes I am.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Groove at Night. And today we are continuing on from our session yesterday on looking at Groove.ai. So today we're going to be focusing on the knowledge base aspect of Groove.ai. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about what a knowledge base is, how you use it, and how it interacts with the GPT systems, right? So how do you train your AIs? How do you train your system to actually get the knowledge that you want it to have so that it gives you better output? Because as we always say, input plus whatever you want to ask the questions of that input or that data gives you a quality output. So let me just see if I can get up onto the screen, our chat GPT and Groove.ai, and we'll have a look at how these knowledge bases come. It's really slow this morning, so I apologize for that. I might have to remove it and add it back on in a second. A bit of a drama here. Not coming up for anybody. Peter, you're not seeing it on your screen either? No? All right, let me remove it, and then we'll try adding it again. If it doesn't work, I'll have to stop the screen share and try it again. There we go. All right. So took a little time, but there we go. We're up and we're running. All right. So today we're going to focus, as I said, on knowledge base. Yesterday, if you were with us, we went through all of these settings. We went through the profile preferences. We spoke to you about the API, how to set up the API, where to get your API, and even things like, what is an API, right? What does it do? How do we use it? So we went through all that yesterday. So if you missed our session yesterday, go back to the Groove.cm YouTube channel. You will find it there, and you'll be able to watch that, and it'll help you set this up, or at least give you the knowledge so that when you have access early next month as a backer, right? If you're a backer, you'll get access, then you'll be able to start setting it up. So knowledge bases, this is where we're going to work today. We're going to work in the knowledge bases section. So what is a knowledge base? Basically, the knowledge base is a series of information about an individual subject matter. That's how I would describe it, right? A lot of people think that when they look at knowledge bases, they look at knowledge bases from a business, company, corporation, where everything the company or the corporation does is in that knowledge base. Now, that makes sense from a business standpoint when you want employees to be able to go in and find all of the information in regards to the business. But when you are developing a knowledge base for an AI model, what you want to be doing is making sure that you're collecting as much knowledge about an individual topic, right? An individual topic. You don't want to be putting knowledge in there across multiple topics, because what happens then is that when you're asking the AI later questions, it's going to use the knowledge base to help give you answers, right? So you want to make sure that the knowledge that you're putting into your knowledge base is clear, concise, and is on one topic at a time. So let's just go and have a look here. I've got a little bit of an image here, right? So this might be a little bit hard to see, but basically this goes through 3 steps, and it explains to you how an AI actually references knowledge from inside a knowledge base. So generally what happens is you collecting data, right? And the system is trained on a set of data. Now, we know with ChatGPT as an example, it's what we call a large language model. It's trained on lots of different materials, which is why no matter what type of question you ask it, it can give you an answer. But what we want to do in our knowledge base, as I said, is focusing on one set of knowledge, one concept, one idea at a time. Because as you'll see here, what happens is it says a prompt is sampled from a prompt data set. They don't call it a database, they call it a data set. And when you look into how ChatGPT and a lot of the other large language models are set up, they actually have a data set, and inside the data set, they break it down into knowledge bases that contain information about a specific subject matter. So in Groove.ai, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to set it up so that we have one knowledge base around one product type, service, concept, or idea, one at a time, right? You'll see step 2, what happens is it will do a comparison of the data and train itself on that information. So when we're building our knowledge bases, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to provide it with information about one subject, and then we're going to help it understand that subject by training the model, the knowledge base model, on that information set. And then finally, what happens is you get an optimized data set, which will give you better output when you're asking questions of your knowledge base within Groove.ai. So let's just have a look at a couple of tips here, right? When it comes to how this works. So what is an AI knowledge base? This is a really good way of looking at it, right? Is that you divide knowledge bases into two poles, they call it. And I mentioned that before. There is the overall information, right, that is training, and then there's the knowledge base, which is a subset of information. So the first concerns human knowledge. So this is knowledge that you already have that you would put into your knowledge base. We're going to show you how to do that in a moment. The second is what we call mechanical knowledge. So this is knowledge that you know exists, but you don't know where it is, and you have to go and do some research first to find that set of knowledge. And then you take that research material and you turn it into content that can be imported into your knowledge base. So we're going to go through that process as well. So human knowledge, right, it's typically known as knowledge. It's all the information that a person has acquired from birth. So if you're picking on a particular subject matter, let's say digital marketing, right? Digital marketing is a huge, huge area, right? I personally would not be building a database, right, or a knowledge base on just digital marketing. Why? Because it covers so many areas. I want to break that down. I'd want to break it down into email marketing, blog writing, website development, right? So that I've got specific information in my knowledge base about those key sets and key understanding so that it will help me get better output when I'm trying to write about that type of subject matter. The other thing you can look at here is the benefits of ChatGPT and having a knowledge management system. Now, if ChatGPT is doing this and they are the largest language model in the world, would you think that it would be a good idea for you when you're building your knowledge bases to design it in a similar format? Because remember, what you're doing with Groove.ai is you're pulling in your API key to ChatGPT, and then you're going to use its system to pull knowledge back from ChatGPT and or your own knowledge base. And we're going to show you that as well today. So how you can do the difference between your own knowledge base and world knowledge on ChatGPT. But it improves information access, and that's the point. You want high quality information in your knowledge base. The higher the quality of the information, the better the output's going to be, and the easier it's going to be for you to answer questions that your potential customers or customers may be asking of you. That's just good business sense, right? You want to get direct to the point, answer the customer's questions. You'll get a lot better value from them and from yourself. Okay, enhanced knowledge sharing and collaboration. This is the point of a knowledge base, right? It's about being able to share your knowledge with your AI system so that it has an understanding of how to enhance that knowledge with the information it already has. It's about combining both what is already out there in the world and what's in your head into something that is cohesive and can help to put output that is higher quality. Again, it's all about focusing on answering the questions for your customer, right? Now, the other thing about this, and Mike has mentioned this too, is that Groove.ai is coming out with a chatbot service that you'll be able to add onto your website, right? So I want you to consider the increased employee or self-support systems that are available. If you have a knowledge base then that is based on everything on your company, then that chatbot will be able to answer the questions about your business products or services. So what you need to get your head around here is that there are different types of knowledge bases. As I mentioned in the start, you generally see knowledge bases out there in the real world in business that tell you everything about that business. And that's great. That's what you want for a customer, employee, service bot, those sort of things. But when it comes to actually creating content for you about a particular subject matter, you need to make sure your knowledge base has nothing but that type of information about that product, service, concept, or idea in it. So hopefully you're starting to get your head around the two ways you need to be thinking about these knowledge bases. Okay, real-time knowledge retrieval. That's the other thing. Now, we all know that a lot of the GPT and chat GPT systems are not always pulling information that is 100% up to date. Because again, as we mentioned yesterday, it will depend on the model that you're using to generate your content. So if you're generating content with ChatGPT 3.5 as an example, its knowledge base ended back in 2021, right? It doesn't have current knowledge in it. If you're using ChatGPT 4, it has a little bit more knowledge, but it doesn't mean that it's pulling data that is fresh and new, which is where you being able to do constant research on your product concept or idea, and then adding that new information to your own knowledge base will give you more power than any other AI system that's out there, because you can build something that nobody else has access to in one place. I mean, not to say that people don't have access to the knowledge that's out there on the internet, right? They do. We all do. But you can imagine the power of having all of this information about one subject that is up to date and inside your knowledge base. That is going to give you output and quality information that is just going to move mountains for you inside of your business. So let's go back to Groove.ai and have a look at how this works, right? Because it's not difficult to set up a knowledge base. The hard part is, what do I need to put into this knowledge base? Now, as I mentioned a moment ago, you need to sit down and you need to think about, what are your products? What are your services? What are you going to sell, right? As a business, what are you going to sell? And what other information do you need to provide customers with that are already part of your business? So we're going to go into the knowledge base. It's really easy to create one. When we click on knowledge bases, we'll go up to the top right-hand corner here and click on create new knowledge base. So the first thing you want to think about here is the naming convention. Is this going to be a chat bot, like a chat bot? And if it is, which website are you going to add it to, right? That's the first thing. And then you make sure when you build this that all of the information that's in this knowledge base is only about what is available on that individual website. So things like, how do customers contact you? How do they do refunds and returns? How do they get support? Where is all the documentation? How do they log in? All of the stuff about your business and your website in that particular chatbot. The other way you can do this, as I mentioned, is a knowledge base around a particular subject matter. Now, I mentioned this before. I would not do digital marketing. It is too broad. It's too big, right? There's too much information that you would need to put in there to be able to give you any quality return information on what you're trying to write about. So what I would do is this. I would be doing something like email marketing, right? Or maybe I want to do something like website building or whatever. But the idea is that you create these knowledge bases, right? Now, you can create as many as you like. So don't think about this as one knowledge base. I want you to think about creating a knowledge base for each subject matter, product, concept or idea that you want to be able to write content on with Groove.ai. So let's do another one, create another knowledge base. It's really easy. Let's look at Groove.ai. I mean, if you're going to promote Groove.ai as an affiliate, wouldn't it be handy to have all of the information about Groove.ai in a knowledge base to help you craft your content, your blogs, your emails, and everything else you want to do to sell the product, right? This is what we want to do. So I'm going to create a new one for Groove.ai. You can see now I've got 2 knowledge bases. Really, really simple. But this is just the beginning. It's just the beginning. What we need to do from this point on is we need to be looking at what content, as I mentioned, are we putting into these knowledge bases. So I'm going to go into the Groove.ai knowledge base here. So I'm going to click on here and go into it. And you'll see once I'm in here, there are 2 ways to add in content to this knowledge base. So there's 2 ways to add in content at this time. Now, there may be more in the future, but these 2 are always the best way to add in content. Someone's going to ask, can I add in a PDF? Well, the answer is yes, and that is coming, because you can do it with a file upload, right? But the thing about PDFs is they could be full of pictures and links to stuff that's irrelevant. What you want to do in your knowledge base is just provide it with text information. I want you to think about what we're doing here in this concept. If you've ever been to a library, right? The minute you walk into a library, especially a big libraries like the New York Library, a London library, like a really big library, right? There are millions and millions and millions of books, magazines, and whatever in there. How are you going to know where to go in the library to find the information you're looking for? Generally, you go to their index card system. You've seen the librarians probably do it. They scribble through all these cards, right? And a lot of times nowadays, they're online indexes. What is this? What are we doing here? That's exactly what we're doing. Every time we add in another document to our knowledge base, the knowledge base indexes that document based on the title we give it. So I want you to remember this too. When you're putting in information, if you're putting in information on Groove.ai, we're going to stick with that in this case, and we're going to go affiliate information, right? Then I want to name it affiliate information, and I'd want to come in here and I'd want to put into this document all the affiliate, right, information that I can find, right? And I'm like my terrible speller, right? All of it, or as much as you can find. Now, the question then becomes, okay, what happens if I come across some new information in the future? Do I need to create a new document? And the answer is no. You can, but you shouldn't. What you want to do is come back to the original document and keep adding information to it. It's like with a blog post, and we've mentioned this previously. When you're creating a blog post for something, and you're going to use Groove.ai to help you create your blog posts, if you've written something 6 months ago and something has changed in that industry or the information's changed, you go back to the original blog post and you update it. You don't create a new one. Why? Because every time you create a new one, you're having to divide the brain and the power of the brain to separate the 2 types of information out, gather both bits of information, and then recombine them again. You're doing the same with the AI. You don't want to do that, right? You want to make sure that your information is consistent. Remember, it is a knowledge base. It's the beginning of everything that's created for you. So you want to put all your information in here, and then I can just save it, right? So I can write it in manually, and you'll see down here that it is now saved in a pending status. Can I edit it? That's the next question. If I've added something in, can I edit it? Well, if I click on down here, I can actually download what I've already created. I could download what I've already created. I can then open up that document, add to it, right? I can add to the document, and then I can upload it again as a text file. So I can download what I've already added into the system, update it, and then re-upload it into the system so that I'm adding to that knowledge base. Hopefully that makes a bit of sense, right? So you can put in as much as you want in here. I mean, if I put in another affiliate information form, you can see what would happen is that ChatGPT and Groove.ai, in this case, is going to have to run through all of these documents and gather all that information together before it can give you a realistic answer. And here's the problem. What happens if you've duplicated some information in your database and that information is contradicting information you've got somewhere else? Do you think that's going to help to get a really clear answer for your customer if your AI is then convoluted about what it's trying to work out on, right? You need to be thinking about the structure of your data. Your data structure is really important in your knowledge base, right? So spend the time to do it correctly. Now you can see here, it will tell me the name of it. It'll tell me when it was last modified. And if I click on the date, that was really fast, but you'll see it will allow me to download that document. Now, when you get this document, it's not going to have a pretty looking name. You can see here, it's just a bunch of numbers and letters. And when you open it on your computer, you will need to rename the file. What do I mean by that? Well, let's just have a look at a standard text document. When I create a standard text document on my computer, right, and I save it, it will have what we call a file extension, right, of .txt. If you don't know what that means, or you don't know how to see the file extension in your computer, just do a bit of a Google search for file extension, because on Windows and Linux and Mac, the process is slightly different. But what you want to do when you download that file is you want to rename it. So the file that you've downloaded from your base down here, this one, when we downloaded it, when it went into here, when I open this folder, right? I don't know if you'll be able to see this. There we go. You'll see this is what it looks like. You can't read it. What you're going to need to do is right click on it, right? And rename it. So you can rename, and then on the end here, I can put .txt and then hit enter. Now I can read this file. Now I can open this file, look, and I can edit it. I can add more information to it. So that's how you do it. You would add more information to your file, and then once we've got that saved, right, let's save it here. Okay, let's just save it in downloads. Right now, in here, what it means now is that I can go into the other option that's in the base here, in our knowledge base, drag and drop a file. So what I would do now is this. I would go into where that file is that I've just updated. So let me just find it. It's just off the screen, right? Downloads here. So here's this one. We've updated it. I'm going to drag and drop that in here. And it will take a minute for it to upload because it depends on how much information is going to be in that data. But you'll see now I've got two. So what I need to do in future is delete this old one. I do not want 2 copies of the same information in here. Now, at the moment, we don't have a delete button in here. We're going to be adding one in soon, hopefully, to be able to remove content, right? I can't see the delete button. There might be one here. No, it's just a download.
I couldn't find one either, so I don't think they've got.
It's not there. And remember this, everyone, right? That we're still working through the process of structuring the knowledge base and the tools that are available for you to do things like update, download, re-add, and all of that. So even on release, if it's not available, don't panic. We are going to continue to add tools and resources to the knowledge base to make it easier for you to do things within your own knowledge base. So, Peter, while I got you here, because I know you've been very quiet there for a while, right? Very, very good. So one of the things is if you don't already have the knowledge, what would you do to find the knowledge? Let's say we were talking about Groove.ai.
Well, I'd try and get something that's on outside of the dashboard, like say for ChatGPT 4 or something like that, just to get that knowledge, that world knowledge. I guess I think that's what we're calling it, global or world knowledge.
Yep. The other thing you can do here is you can go to something like YouTube. Right.
Actually, no, Nicholas, that was the next question I was going to ask you. Is I know we can put up text files, but will there be potential to actually add a URL?
There will be, right? There is a bunch of add-ons coming, and Mike has already mentioned this. So there'd be PDFs, there'll be URLs, multiple URLs, right? So multiple YouTube URLs as an example to help build. And there's Mike. Look, he just come on the screen. No, he hasn't. There we go. But what we could do in the meantime, right, while we're waiting for all these things to come, and we keep adding on because we want to keep extending this out, is what you could do is you could go into a video like this. And let me just pause this. It'll probably have an ad on the beginning of it. There we go. So you'll notice up here, I have a little plugin that's called Glasp. So it's GLASP, right? It's Glasp. It's a Chrome plugin. What this does is it will give me a transcript, so a text version of what's being said on the video. So if I click on this, right, it'll ask me to log in. Well, I'm already logged in. What's it doing? Yep. So why isn't it giving me the transcription?
Yeah, I think try that one, Nicholas.
Yeah, it should just give me the transcription. All right, it's playing up for me today. But normally it does. It just gives me a transcription in here, right? Let's try it one more time. View AI summary in OpenAI. It's not opening for some reason. My computer's been a bit slow, but the bottom line is it will give you a transcript of all of the information, right? And then all you need to do is copy that information out, put it into a text document, and then you would add that text document back in to your knowledge base, right? You would just drag that back in to your knowledge base. And so I want you to think about, again, where you can get information. So you can get it from videos. We know that, right? And we can get a text transcript of the video. We can get it from a blog. Groove blog has got lots of information on Groove.ai, right? And the Groove system. So you could come in here and you could reference the material they've already written. Don't you think it'd be high quality? Do you not think that if you are promoting, e.g., as an affiliate, somebody else's product, the best person to get the information from about that product is the product creator? That just makes sense, right? You don't have to second guess everything then. You could literally go into one of these blogs, right? You would just go through and you would just copy all of the text for the moment, right? Yes, it's a pain, copy all the text, but you only want the text, right? You don't want all the images. This is what we're doing. And if you're creating a text document, by the way, just a standard text document, let's see if I can create a new one here and bring it onto the screen. So if we just had a standard text document, if I copy all this information like this and I copy it and I go back to my text document, when I paste it in, see what it does? It strips out all of the images. It strips out everything else, right? So I would just go through here and have a look at some of the information, make sure it's got what I need, save this file, right? So save it as, give it a name, right? Groove blog in this case. But I, again, would give it the name of the article. Get very specific when you name these things before you upload them. That will help the database that you're creating in your knowledge base understand a lot easier what's in that information set. So for this purpose, I'm just going to save it as Groove blog, right? There we go. Then I'm going to go back to my knowledge base. And again, I would just drag and drop this. Let me open up the thing. Here we go. So we Groove blog, drag and drop it, and you'll wait for it to update, right? There you go. It doesn't take long for it to go through an update, and it will continue to create your knowledge base. So spend the time to think about what you want to put into your knowledge base and what the purpose of the knowledge base is, because it's going to become vitally important when you go to the next step. And that next step is creating content based on that knowledge base. It's base, right? Based on the knowledge base. Spend the time. Develop out a structure. You've heard us say this over and over again. When it comes to your business, product, information, or services, what do we say to you all the time to do? Map it out, right? Map out the process. Map out what it is you want to do. Because each one of these knowledge bases is going to give you a huge advantage over everybody else that hasn't structured it right. And I know what's going to happen. People are going to come in here and just dump everything that's in their head into one knowledge base. And then they're going to wonder why they're not getting the quality of content they want. That'd be like me putting you in a library, as we said before, without all the reference cards and said, go and find me a book about X, and I want it by this author that was written in this date of this time. How the heck are you going to find that? All you're going to do, go through every book in the library, right? And you're going to end up confusing yourself. I can tell you what'll happen. After 5 minutes, you'll go, what was the question I was trying to ask again? Why would you think AI is any different? It's no different. If you don't give it good quality information, it cannot provide you with a good quality output. So spend the time to map out what you're going to put into these knowledge bases. As I mentioned at the beginning, think about each product or service you want to sell. Think about, is it a chat bot, right? What is the use case for the knowledge base that you're building? What is the use case? Because if we go back to this diagram again that we started with, and I don't know if I can zoom in on this. Let me see if I can. There we go. Right. First step is collect demonstration data and train it. Collect the data. Collect the data, right? Then the data has a comparison data set that's trained in the brain of the knowledge base to help it understand what's going on. So data in, you make a query of that data, output, right? So data in, make a query, output. You want this output to be optimized, and that's the whole point. You can see how many levels that this thing's got to go through. If you skip over one of these processes, then your data set is not clean. It's not going to give you good output. I'm hoping that's really coming across to everybody, right? Spend the time to map out what information you want in each of your knowledge bases. So let's just go back here for a minute. So I can't see the chat, but in the chat, if you can, and I'm sure Peter or someone will let me know, right? Give me some ideas of what you think you would put into your knowledge base. What would you put into your knowledge base?
So we have one from Karen, and establishing our own curated library to reference from.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're doing, right? So let me think. Let's think about it this way. How many aspects of your website and your business do you need to know about? Well, there's a lot of things that I'm going to talk about right now that some of you may not have even considered. Here, how about this? How about I create a knowledge base on legal information? Right? So I create a legal information database to help me do things like create my privacy policy and, you know, create my all that legal stuff that I may want to have on my website. I could create a knowledge base about that. I could train it on all of the legal knowledge pages that I've already got. Do you think that will help when you have to write a new privacy policy for a new website? Yep, go in there, click, thank you, base it on this. This is the name of the website. Boom, it's just going to pop it out, done for you, right? What about things like...
There's a couple here, Nicholas. Description of products and services from Michael.
Yep.
That would be another one that you could put in there as well, couldn't you? And Karen has said videos, ebooks, and documents.
Mm-hmm.
And...
Yeah. You could put in a heap. So if you were doing a product or a service, right? Now, this is the key. Don't just type product or service. Name of product, right? Or service. Name it. Make it very specific. Because later on, when you go to look for this information, you want to be able to pull in the exact knowledge base. And if you just say products or services and you've dumped in everything in there about every product and service you've got, you're back to that quandary of the system not knowing which product or service do you want me to talk about? Because remember, when you go through and develop out the content using the system, you're not doing what you were doing with ChatGPT. We mentioned this yesterday. You're not going to have to prompt engineer it and say, give me a, you know, write like this person and do this, because it's all built into the system. And so the knowledge base is crucial to giving you the correct answer. So maybe a product or a service, right? Maybe you do want video content.
Here's an interesting question, Nicholas. Craig has asked, can I create a knowledge base and then charge clients to access that knowledge base?
So you can't give them direct access to the knowledge base. What you could do, Craig, though, is you could suggest to them that you have a large language model knowledge base. Get them to send in the questions that they want asked. You could then ask those questions of your knowledge base and then provide them with a page that is just viewable. So you would have to set up a funnel structure for that, right? Here, ask your question, give us your question, and then we'll, you know, make your payment and we'll send you to a thank you page where you can access it. There are ways to do it. And it's a great concept. I can see a lot more people doing it because people are actually doing it already. You see it a lot with surveys where people will ask you all these questions on surveys, and based on the questions and how you answer those those survey questions, right, the result that you get at the end is going to be different to somebody else because of the questions that they've asked. And it's all based, again, on a single knowledge base. That's how it works, right? So are you able to ask a knowledge base to do things like calculate this data based on the data it has? Yeah, of course you can, right? Because that's going to come down to the question that you ask and what you set inside the model, right? Calculate wages, generate reports. All of those things are coming. They're not going to be there at the beginning, right? So the thing about this is that your knowledge base is, as we said, all of the knowledge about a particular type of service, right? How you output that data, like generate a report. When you say a report, most reports are just text-based with a graph or something, right? So what you would do would be you would ask it to generate you all the numbers in a report. It would generate that part of the report. You would then go to somewhere like DALL-E or Midjourney or whatever and put in the information. Again, that would come from the knowledge base you create here so that it could create the image you're wanting based on the data set within that knowledge base. So again, map it out, right? The more you map this thing out, the better off you're going to be. But I want you to really consider what you're going to be using your knowledge bases for. There's not a limit, so don't limit what you can do, but spend the time to break down each of those knowledge areas. Like if I say to you, from the moment you get up in the morning, right, till you go to bed at night, think about how many different types of knowledge you've got to tap into in your brain. And your brain has actually segregated those into mini knowledge databases. So if I say to you, home or house, you'll immediately have an image in your brain of what a home or a house is. And then inside that capsulated knowledge base is all of the other information. What's in my kitchen? What's in my bathroom, right? When you go into the kitchen, it's a subset knowledge base because now what's in my fridge? And what's in my fridge targets to a separate knowledge base of what can I pull out of my fridge to cook my dinner? My recipes and my dinners are another knowledge base. And so your brain is breaking all this down step by step by step by step. You want to do that with AI in creating these knowledge bases as well. Because AI is not as smart as you think, right? Garbage in, garbage out. If you put rubbish into your knowledge base, what you're going to get out of it is complete rubbish as well. We know that with the human body and with the human mind. If you put rubbish and negativity in, all you get is rubbish and negativity out. So you need to be thinking about these knowledge bases, right? So June, I'm writing about relationships, motivation, and self-help. I can put transcripts from motivational speakers like Ching Tan and Tony Robbins. Exactly, right? That's the exact point, June. But you would build a knowledge base based on motivation, then a knowledge base on relationships, and then a knowledge base on self-help. You don't want to combine them all, right? Speaking of Ching Yu, I see he's just come into the room. Let me, he's got a big smile on his face, so let me see if we can bring Ching Yu in, because we've only got about a few minutes to go. Hello, Ching Yu. How are you this morning, this afternoon, this evening? How you doing?
I'm doing good and great, Nicholas. And, it's amazing what you've shared in terms of a knowledge base, breaking it down and really helping people understand why is it so important to organize your knowledge and to understand the kind of output that you want. And, as like Nicholas shared, garbage in, garbage out. And if you don't have the proper labeling, AI is just as clueless as you in the ocean of data that you're pushing it in, right? But yeah, great sharing, Nicholas. And I think this is, we are in a moment in time where with Groove.ai being allowing us to easily upload our knowledge bases, like what Pum Pum Power has shared, June. is we are able to consolidate the great minds of your respective industry, and then to be the advisor for us to be able to elevate our content, our output to the next level, to the professional level and beyond. Even if you're just a newbie, just like that, with the right steps and outputs and inputs and outputs, you will get there. And thanks to Nicholas and of course Peter in the next few days for sharing with us all of these great content, man.
Yes, as Dr. Lisa says, right, organized knowledge has an amazing value. Can you imagine? And again, I want everybody to visualize this. Can you imagine walking into a library and we took all the books off the shelf and we just piled them up in the middle of the library and said, right, now go and find the information you're looking for. Right? It would be almost impossible to find what you're looking for. That's why libraries are knowledge bases in themselves, but they're organized knowledge bases, right? They're organized into categories of information. And so that's what we're saying to you here. The more time you spend doing that, does it take time? Absolutely. Right? Is it going to drive you nuts because you got to think, oh my God, where am I going to put this? Yes, that's going to happen to you too. But what you've got to realize is that the end result is going to be clearer, more concise, more to the point information that's going to help you answer your customers and clients' questions. And as we all know, right, if I'm searching for something online and there's, let's say, 2 different blogs or 2 different videos, and one's just rabbiting on about something and the other one's getting direct to the point and going this, then this, then this, then this, what do I gravitate to? I gravitate to the stuff that's giving me direct instructions, direct understanding, clear and concise information about what I'm looking for. So it's really important that you set your knowledge bases up. We are going to come back tomorrow, though. Well, I won't be. Ching Yu will be. So I'll let him know now while he's here, right? But he's going to come back tomorrow and he's going to look at the knowledge bases. He may have a different layout to the one I've created today, so don't panic, but the principle is the same. He's going to show you how you then create projects, right? Create projects from those knowledge bases and how to generate or start generating some of that content, right? I'm just letting Ching Yu know so he knows what he's got to do tomorrow.
Okay, Nicholas, just a couple of more questions, and I'm going to ask this one. This is from myself. Just how much can you put up? Like, what's the capacity in terms of how much knowledge we can upload into our knowledge base?
That's a good question. Now, my understanding, and I could be wrong here, right? But about 10 gig per knowledge base. I think it's about 10 gigabyte of storage per knowledge base, right? But when you look at the amount of information you can put in 10 gigs, let's just think about this, right? The entire Bible could fit into a text document of less than 5 kilobytes. Kilobytes, right? And there's a 1,000 of them to a meg. There's 1,000 meg to a gig, and there's 1,000 gig to 10 gigabytes, right? So like it's just a massive amount of data. I don't think you're going to run out, Peter, right? It's not going to be a problem. It's never going to be a problem, right?
And one more, there's one from Craig again. Can any of these knowledge bases be iframed? What was that going in there? Be iframed into our websites?
Let me get back to you on that, Craig. I don't believe so because the knowledge base is inside the system and it's behind a firewall with your login, right? So unless somebody's got access to your database, no. But what you could do is you can, as I said before, you could put up a description on a website, the knowledge base name and what's contained within that knowledge base, and then say to someone if they want access to it, then they would ask the series of questions, they would make a payment to you, and then you would run that data that they've asked through your knowledge base and send them out an answer. Yeah, with a chatbot you can. The chatbot's different. So you can do that with a chatbot. The chatbot can access the knowledge base. So you can do it that way. Yeah, but that's a little bit different, right? Because now you've got you've got to think about what questions are going to be asked as well. And you will know that what you ask of a chatbot might be completely different to what your customers ask. So that's the other thing, right?
And yeah, just to add on the chatbot part, the chatbot is also in the pipeline for Groove.ai, so you will have seamless integration to your knowledge bases as well.
Yeah, so it's not, again, a lot of what we're showing you and we're talking about today is more about structure and setting this thing up so that as all these add-ons come out, that we add on to the system, that you're already prepared for them. Because there's nothing worse. Here's a good example, right, of not being prepared. I learned to drive in an automatic car and my parents just gave me the keys to a manual, right? Hello, we're in trouble now, right? Because we've got more things we've got to do and we've got to learn them very, very quickly. So, spend the time, map out your knowledge bases, right? Now, one other thing about these knowledge bases, and I showed you how you could download the documents inside the knowledge base, but this documents folder is here as well, okay? You can add in your own documents here, and then you can add those documents to the knowledge base as well, right? So there's more than one way to add content into the knowledge base, because you might create documents or output from projects. The projects, and Ching, you will go over this tomorrow, but when you create these projects, the documents that are created inside the project is pulling the information from the knowledge base. So this is why the document sits in the middle, because the document is going to be a combination of what is the project and what's in your knowledge base. And we'll show you tomorrow, right? The little slider that you can use to go from my knowledge to world knowledge and back, right? We like sliding around, giving you much option as possible. All right, we're going to wrap this up. We've got a couple of minutes, but before we do, if you don't know already, right, if you haven't got...
Wow, thank you for that great introduction. I appreciate it. And
well, there you go. That was Mike. You're welcome, Mike, right? So if you don't have this already, go to Groove.ai, right? Just go to Groove.ai. The map that we mentioned yesterday, you can download right here. And I'm going to show you this map very quickly again in a moment because I want to point something out and I think you'll find very interesting. But if you go through this page, we scroll all the way to the bottom. Down here is your options to actually make a purchase for Groove.ai if you haven't already. So you can see down here, you've got a couple of options, right? You can get it for $897 in one payment or two payments of $497. There's also the white label, and I'm sure over the next couple of days, we'll talk to you more about that if you don't know about it already. But here's a little secret. Shh, don't tell everyone, right? Down here, there's a little link for a happy hour. Right now, it's not always on, but if you can't afford $897 in one go or $497, two payments of $497, then you can come down here, you can click on this little button here, and you get a little pop-up. And it means that you'll be able to get a copy of Groove.ai for yourself for 4 payments of $250. So if you're on a tight budget, that may be a great option for you, right? Great option for you. But I'm going to hide it again. Remember, shh, don't tell everyone. It's down here where it says happy hour, right? Happy hour. We like it when things are on discount, right? We love those things. So that's the first thing. Don't forget to go there and check that out. The second thing is, where's the map? Where did I put my map? Here it is. So that's that map that I was just telling you about on the Groove.ai page, right? So here we go back to the top. This map that I'm about to show you is the one you can get right here, right? Download this mind map project. So this map here, if we have a look at the apps, and we're talking about all the different apps that are coming, right? So we're starting with text. Go into the map and have a look at all of this stuff that's coming, right? So video, text, video editing, right? Avatars, all of this, voice, video to text, text to voice, voice cloning, voice overdubbing, all of these options are coming, right? But they will not be there on the initial release. The initial release is focused primarily on text and text only. But that is a lot to do because there's emails, there's, sales page copy, there's blogs. A lot of text is what you're going to need to build your business out anyway, right? The rest of it is just bonus, right? When we can do videos and all the other stuff. All right, well, that's it from me for today. You'll be back with Ching Yu tomorrow. Ching Yu, going to be here tomorrow?
I believe Peter will be here tomorrow, but I'll be popping in probably and then just sharing some of the insights.
Fantastic. Excellent. Right. So if Ching Yu's not here, then Peter will be here and he will be taking you through just so he knows, right? We'll remind him the project's information and how to connect that with your knowledge base. All right, that's it from us for today, everyone. Thanks for showing up. Again, we'll see you all tomorrow. Bye for now.